Welcome to Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Rachele Brooke Smith.
And I'm your other host, Emilio Palafox.
And today is a really cool episode because we are going to be answering your questions live right here, right now on our radio show. Again, all of these questions, guys, are questions that we got from our free group that we have on Facebook. It's called Relationship Renegades Tribe. Totally free. If you just request access, answer the questions to get in the group, we'll let you in. And we're going to be answering these questions right here, right now.
We are. So I'm so excited. First of all, for those listening, thank you for being here.
Yes.
If you guys don't know about us and you're just tuning into the radio, the part of the radio show is to co-create a world where healthy relationships are the new norm.
Yes.
We're all about killing your Superman to find your Wonder Woman.
Yes.
If you need to know more about what that is, there's some episodes on that. And then what else will we do, babe?
We're really about helping people heal from heartbreak, learning how to stop self-sabotaging, and how to create relationships where we feel safe, seen, heard, and loved.
And I feel like this is really the perfect storm that happened, unfortunately, because of COVID. Relationships have been shaken up.
Yes.
And so thank you for being here.
Yes.
So that we can go ahead and co-create this world where we co-create a world where there's more, fun, connected, fully alive relationships.
Yep.
And it's not just a relationship to self; it's to others and to the world around us.
Absolutely.
So if you guys are just tuning in, there's some little highlights there.
Yeah, and he said relationship to self, right? That is a through line through we've interviewed so many relationship experts, neuroscientists, psychologists, and the through line is the relationship with ourself, first and foremost, is one of the most important relationships ever. And that relationship to ourself really shows up in our relationships to others, especially our intimate relationships. And so if we're looking, and we'll dive deeper into these questions, but if you're really looking and you're like, gosh, I just want to figure out how to do this relationship thing better, especially my intimate relationships, really starting first with, hey, what's my relationship with myself? Do I feel supported? Do I feel safe? Do I feel seen? Do I feel heard by myself? And I think that's really important, something that I think a lot of people don't talk about.
That's right. Well, we can dissect and talk about this all day long, but we're going to go ahead and dive into the questions.
Yes.
Y'all, thank you so much for joining us to our special group here on Facebook Live.
Yes.
And let's begin.
Question number 1.
Now, I won't say the names here. I'm just going to go ahead and read them out. In the future, guys, if you do want me to say your name, let us know when you provide the question. So first question, love. How to heal from a recent breakup. This is from the same person. She's got 3 questions. How to heal from a recent breakup. How to move on faster. And how to find a high-value man. Great questions.
Such great questions.
If you're listening, you know who you are. Thanks for playing full out. And babe, ladies first.
Well, so 1, 2, and 3, right? All powerful questions. I'm going to start with number 1, how to heal from a recent heartbreak. First of all, giving you a big hug, whoever this is and whoever's going through this. I know myself, I've been through many very difficult, felt very traumatic breakups.
Likewise. And it's happening for you, not to you. So congrats on that.
Yeah. And something that helped me a lot, this just came up as I was going through a very hard breakup that honestly I felt like was just crushed me. I remember it was everything I could do just to get out of bed and just to go to a yoga class, which I knew would make me feel better. But even just getting to do that was a challenge because I felt so discouraged. And in this yoga class, somebody said, they're like, are you okay? Because I was just crying. And I was like, I'm going through a breakup right now. And it's just really hard. And she was like, oh, that means you get to fall in love again. That means you get to have a first kiss again. That means you get to have all the butterflies and all of the amazing things that comes with falling in love again.
Yeah.
And it was just a really big paradigm shift because I was so discouraged over this heartbreak. And I felt like this guy that I was with, at the time, he was like my everything. And my whole world was wrapped around this person and this relationship. And so when it ended, it was just, it felt brutal. But just that one little perspective shift was one thing. There's many things to heal from heartbreak.
But real quick, I think that's huge too, babe, because I mean, normally when I've had a lot of toxic relationships before becoming the man I am to create the love and the higher love that we have now to attract someone like Rachele. But I love that when you said that because it is a perspective, because after every toxic relationship, after the next toxic relationship, I would say, dang it. Like, I have to go through the whole thing again. I got to show them who I am, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to meet the family again, and I got to do all this stuff, rather than like I get to. Like, you have one life. Like, wow, you get to fall in love again? Why do you have to get to have a first kiss? Like, I love that aspect. And of course, we're all about mindset. So what a beautiful mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it really did. It was, and it wasn't like all my problems just went away, but it was a very helpful perspective that it really did, that I was like, wow, I can get excited to fall in love again. And so that was one thing. I think another thing that was just so helpful, because I think a lot of times we lose ourselves in relationships, and we lose maybe that a lot of love for ourselves or self-worth or value. And so I think it's really understanding that when it's a process, right? It's not going to heal overnight. But a practice that I did and still do to this day that has been so life-changing, that has helped me heal from heartbreak, is to write down 3 reasons why I love myself every day. And I would even challenge to up it to, 3 to 10 reasons. And that might sound so simplistic, but in that practice, almost every time I actually did it, like wrote it down, 3 reasons why I love myself, I would always cry. And I'd always feel like this breakthrough of finding reasons that I'm like, wow, like I am valuable and I am worthy of love. And if you're at a place too where you're like, I can't even find out those reasons, start by asking 3 reasons why I'm proud of myself today. Because I think in discovering those answers, you'll start to actually realize that a lot of those reasons actually are very deserving of love. And so that's where I would start. What about you, sweetheart?
Well, first of all, beautifully said, love. When it comes to healing from a recent heartbreak, some of the things that come up right now is that what we talk about on the show is that to us, it's not a heartbreak. It's a heart expansion.
Yes.
We don't believe that the heart breaks ever.
Because it doesn't. You're still alive.
The heart is a muscle, and it's a beautiful muscle, but it's a beautiful organ. Yes. It's actually its own brain. I don't know if you know this about the heart, but it can literally think, feel, and remember independently of the head brain. We have a gut brain, we have a head brain, we also have a heart brain. So just fun fact there. But the heart is so beautiful, it expands. And so out of all the relationships that I've been through, all the lessons that I've had to learn, it's been this ever expansion that I'm able to love Rachele at a much greater capacity. Yes. My empathy and compassion and love and genuineness and everything that people, thank you so much for saying all the beautiful things to us and all the things we do. But I think it's because of those hard expansions that we have faced in our lives. So first of all, I wanted to say that. And in terms of healing from that heart expansion, some of the things that come to my mind is we're all different. And if you think about climbing the mountain, and let's say climbing the mountain at the very top is you healing from that heart expansion. There's different roads, and it's all about finding what works for you. So some people choose yoga and or the rest that I'll be saying, right? Some people choose yoga, breath work, meditation, journaling, mindfulness, EMDR, finding a support group. There's all these different things that you can do. But one of the things that I think helps people are frameworks. So without just shooting a bunch of whole things off, what's coming to my mind, babe, is one of the things I used to talk about prior to Relationship Renegades, which was energy and resilience. So really having the resilience to continue, right? This ability to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress, challenges, and adversities such as this. So here's the framework real quick, and we'll go ahead and move on. The first is presence. And if you want to write this down, this will be good. These are the 5 Ps.
Yes.
We got presence, purpose, power, people, and preparation. And so when you think about presence, normally you're going to be in your head when you're in a heart expansion, right? You're going to be in the past replaying all those memories of like all the good times and what I could have done. And in the past, when you're in there, it's depression. Yeah. And if you're in the future, like, what can I do? And what do I need to do? And that's anxiety. So if you're facing depression or anxiety during this heart expansion, know that you need to be or practice being in the present moment. So there's meditation. You can Google presence exercises, but just really feel how like your finger feels. If you lift your finger and you're driving, you're in the kitchen or in your living room, feel like what it would feel like to be inside your finger. Like how does that feel? And all of a sudden you have your focus and attention on your finger, and you can probably feel it vibrate, temperature change. Anyway, all of a sudden you're in the present moment. Practice that. Bring yourself to present. Second thing I would say is purpose.
Yeah, big one.
When you find your purpose, there's a bigger force driving the bus, and you can move through things a lot better because you're not focused on this one thing. You're focused on this like vocation, what life is asking of you, this bigger purpose that really enlightens you and really inspires you and empowers you.
Yeah.
And so I would say there's lots of ways of doing that: journaling, reflection, etc. Power, like Rachel said, we've lost our power a lot through these relationships. And what I would say a simple technique would be, we talk about this all the time, and I'm going to bring it up all the time.
Yes.
It's about if you're feeling some type of emotion, shame, guilt, frustration, anger, sadness, whatever, instead of hiding, suppressing, and denying that, let's start to welcome that. Let's start to feel that.
Welcome to the party.
Right? Like open the door. Welcome to the party. Say, guilt, shame, sadness, whatever it is, I'm glad you're here. Take a moment, breathe, feel it. Our body keeps the score. When you move and you feel that, you allow it to process. It's only temporary. I promise. That is a guarantee. Feel that. It releases. We need to get all that energy released, and that's how that heart expansion will continue.
We really do. And he taught me that practice because there had been times in our relationship when I would get like anxiety filled, and he was like, okay, babe, just breathe. Just say, okay, anxiety, I'm glad you're here. What are you trying to teach me? And in that moment, experiencing how once you actually just accept and allow our emotions to happen and to really feel them, all of a sudden they don't feel like they have this control over you anymore, and it starts to dissipate. And then you can really journal and learn the lessons that those, because emotions are just indicators. And I didn't want to cut you off because I want you to continue on in the 5 Ps, because these 5 Ps that he's talking about are really important. It's a great framework. So continue on. And
there's a whole bunch more. And guys, if you're just tuning in, you can find out more in our 3-day live relationship coaching experience that we'll be having. We're kind of going through this because we want to make sure that we answer a lot of questions, but we'll go ahead and move on. Like Rachel said, in that we just talked about presence, purpose. We just finished wrapping up about power, really taking your power back, right? If those emotions, if you're hiding, suppressing, and denying those, it's like holding a beach ball underwater. Yeah. And it's a burden. And so as soon as you accept that, then all of a sudden, like Rachel said, you've taken your power back in a sense. And that's one step closer. This is all about just 1% better every day as you climb that mountain. Yep. So the next one I'd say is people, right? We crave connection and community more than ever these days. So ways that you can build connection and community would be, of course, now everything's on Zoom. There's different groups that you can join, on Facebook and Instagram, all that kind of stuff. But if you guys are willing, and maybe I want you to chime in on this, because, one thing that the way that we build community is by getting yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah.
1,
get outside your comfort zone.
2, be vulnerable. Yeah. Guys, we're all, no matter who you're talking to in life, from this level to the very top, is we all bleed the same. We all have the same bones. Like we all have the same emotions. We all we grew up as a little kid and went through crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
We're always going through something. One of my favorite quotes is, everyone is going through a battle that you might know nothing or very little about. And so just to always be kind and to always have this compassion for self and for others and for this crazy human experience that we're all on.
Absolutely. I love that, babe. You're absolutely right. And so when you show up with love, no matter what, because of our frame of reference, you're going to be looking at a certain person, and we tend to judge a lot of the times. And so when you go in with love nonstop, so these are the 3 things about building connection and community, right? It would be getting yourself uncomfortable. Yeah. 2, being vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable, people trust you more. Yeah. And people love you more, and people want to be around you more. Trust me, there's so much to dissect there, but we won't get there. Yeah. And then last but not least, I would say is I think I just drew a blank, but if you got one, babe, you let me know.
One of the biggest ones is if you are looking to connect with awesome people, join our tribe.
Oh,
we have
boom.
a free group on Facebook that we do so many cool things in, and it's full of awesome people, and everybody in our group is being vulnerable, is stepping outside their comfort zone, is able to meet new people. So we would love to have you as a part of our tribe.
There we go.
Both
That's number 3.
in our group as well as our future mastermind and our group coaching that we do, as well as just a part of our online community in general, because we answer all the comments. We try and do our best to answer all the questions that we can. And we love also being like, oh, you know this person? Well, we got to introduce you to that person. And if you have certain things that you're like, gosh, I just really want to meet new people. I really want to make new friends. I want to connect with, people that have my same values and my same goals, dreams, aspirations. Like, it's a great place to meet people is within our free tribe. Again,
Absolutely.
Relationship Renegades on Facebook.
Beautifully said, babe. Join the tribe.
Yes.
So last but not least, number 5 of the 5 P's is preparation.
Yeah.
And so, we talk about how life's like the ocean. There's always going to be waves, right? Waves like COVID, waves like this heartbreak / not heartbreak, heart expansion. And the good news is that you can learn how to surf. And so, that preparation before you jump on the surfboard is important. So preparing, what do I mean by that? Well, lots of things. One thing that comes into my mind right now is that if you're at rock bottom, if you're at that heart expansion, if you lost a job, if you lost somebody, if you just feel like you're at rock bottom in some way, shape, or form, that is the best place to be. Why? Well, as Wayne Dyer would put it, or Lao Tzu from the Tao Te Ching, if a room is empty, you just walked in the room of an apartment or a house that you just bought or that you have, the room is most useful in its emptiness. What I mean by that, well, when we think about internally within ourselves, most of the time society, and we try to change the societal norm of these toxic, unhealthy relationships. But look, guys, we've been programmed from a very young age with TV shows and movies and music and social media, all this stuff about what we think we need to attract in terms of a woman or a man.
So true.
And it's like, it's about building this external world. Get this car, get this type of money, get this type of business, get this type of jewelry, get this type of whatever. Like, this is what, like all this dumb shit.
Yeah, that doesn't actually fulfill you.
Does not fulfill you, does not make you happy, does not make you joyful, does not make you peaceful. Guys, we've heard it a billion times from all the millionaires and billionaires out there. It's time to finally take their advice and do what we're saying, which is to build the internal environment. What's some great things that would you say about building the internal?
It's so true. Like, again, we started out this episode really talking about, like, in one of our biggest things as relationship renegades is understanding that one of the most important relationships ever is the relationship you have with yourself. And so I think a great place to start, there's an amazing book called Artist Way. And one of my favorite books, and this book helped me so much as I was going through very painful heartbreaks and or heart expansion experiences. And what I love about this book is that it gives so many, like, just daily, weekly exercises for you to do, and especially daily practices. So one is they call it morning pages. So it's just free writing.
Love morning pages.
Right? So when you wake up, drink a bunch of water, go to the bathroom, whatever you got to do, and then just grab some paper, a journal or whatever is whatever you want to do, and just free write, just word vomit onto the page. And it's so fascinating, to have a free place to just, like, if you want to swear, scream, or cry into the page and talk about things. Because once you get it on the page, all of a sudden, again, it doesn't feel like it has this power over you, and you're all the worries, stressed doubts, fears, stories that you might be creating. When you see it on paper, it just is like, oh, it's out of you. It's not like just stuck inside of you anymore. The other thing is something called dating yourself. So this is where I learned this concept, and I was like, wow, I get to take myself on a date. And really start to get to know myself. Because what happened to me, and I think this happens to a lot of people, is that I lost myself in those relationships because I constantly was trying to do what I thought they wanted me to do or be. And so because of that, I never actually learned what I actually liked or valued or wanted to do or liked to do. And I always just found myself, like, doing what they wanted to do or doing what I thought they wanted me to do. And so when you really like set aside time and schedule it just like you would a real date with someone else. Is like, today at this time of week, I'm going to take myself on a date and I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to get a massage. I'm going to get whatever it is, and get creative in ways that you can take yourself on a date so that you just get to hang out with you. And, you know, it's hard because sometimes I think we can really get in this space, you know, like, I get it. I feel you when you're like, oh, okay, this is cool, guys, but like, I just miss my person, or I'm still in this place of, I don't understand why it happened and why I keep messing up in relationships, or why he doesn't love me anymore, why she doesn't love me anymore, or all the stories that we can create. And I just want to say this right now, because there was past heartbreaks when I was going through them. They felt so hard, and I felt so devastated. And in that time of my life, those men seemed like, you know, I loved them. I was in love with them. And and they were part of my daily routines and my life. Even maybe one would say I lost my purpose in them. And so when all of a sudden that's not there is this, we have to really understand. And my father is a neurosurgeon and my brother is a neuroscientist, and I come from a family of doctors. And it wasn't until I really learned that, hey, there is a chemical reaction that happens when we're around people, especially if you were having sex with that person, or especially if you're just intimate with someone. There is a literal chemical reaction. It is like a drug, because those people really do boost the oxytocin, the serotonin, the dopamine. And so all of a sudden, it's as if, you know, you've been getting daily hits with that person, and then all of a sudden it's just taken away from you. And so when people are like, I feel like I'm having withdrawals, I feel like I'm not myself, I don't have the energy I don't have, it's a real thing. And so once I learned that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not crazy. You know, maybe it isn't necessarily about that this guy was my perfect guy. It was just that we were both giving each other a lot of these, you know, drug hits, if you will, these highs. And I'm going to have to take some time to go through the withdrawal phase so I can get back to a norm. And I have to find out other things that will give me that same thing. So for me, it was, you know, going to the beach, riding my bike, going to yoga, being around really good girlfriends, or, you know, family support, or, you know, watching movies that inspired me, or music that empowered me, or breath work, meditation, all those things, anything that would give you those same sort of, chemical reactions in your body. And then also to know that it does get better. You know, if you do this work, now, you know, I'm looking at this beautiful man in front of me, and he's more than I could have ever imagined. And I say thank you every day that I didn't try to keep those old relationships going, that I didn't settle into things that I weren't really the best for me, even though it was really hard. And so there was times in my life where I was like, you know, I was creating these stories like, oh, what if he was my perfect guy? What if I was supposed to be with him? And how come he doesn't love me anymore? And how come I'm not good enough? And then coming full circle, now everything makes so much sense, and I can be so grateful. And so I just invite anybody that's going through a heart expansion experience to practice future gratitude. And I think future gratitude, when you can get lost in the space of write down everything that you want in a partner. Like everything you want in a partner. And then
not what you don't want.
Yes, what you do want.
Because if you put everything that you don't want, it's literally like saying, hey, don't think about a silver Lexus right now. Yeah. Okay?
All you think about is
you're about to Lexus. You probably thought about a silver Lexus right now. Yeah. So the universe will respond that way. Yes. Like I don't want this, I don't want X, I don't want Y, and I don't want Z. You'll start to see X, Y, and Z.
A lot.
Because it's all in that subconscious programming, that subconscious mind.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. It's such an important point.
So only what you want.
Yes, only what you want, and focus on what you want. But I think it's also important to be clear about what you don't want. It's just that we don't want to spend a lot of time focusing on that, you know, because I do think
what you focus on expands.
What you focus on expands. And so writing down everything you really want in a partner and putting that list where you can see it and remind yourself of it and practice, do through meditations. I'm actually going to release one on my YouTube, this future gratitude that I've done that I swear gave me so much hope in my darkest times. Mm-hmm. And I would just imagine what it felt like to be held by this essence of a guy that I was looking for, and this feeling of what it felt like to be around this man that supported me and loved me, and traveling with him, and having a family with him, and having what our house felt like. And it was more so the feeling. It's so important. Like, we don't attract what we think about, we attract who we are. So that's, again, why the important.
Say that again, babe. It's huge.
We don't attract what we think about, we attract who we are. And so that's why, full circle, it's so important to focus on, who am I being? What kind of person am I showing up as? Because I'm going to attract whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And so I know
it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes for a lot of people.
It really is.
But it definitely is the case. And that little bing that we heard right now kind of sent me for a loop.
It's okay. Edit that part out.
Yeah.
So wrapping it all up, I just think it's so important to remember, again, it's a journey, it's a process, it's not going to happen overnight. But if you can just keep hanging on one day at a time.
We're wrapping up that fifth P,
yes.
which is preparation.
Yes.
And then let's wrap up that preparation, because I think you did an incredible job talking about how you can prepare for the next stage in your life.
Absolutely.
With all the things that you mentioned about preparing for the next one. Because I think what's important just to note right before we wrap up this entire question would be, we always talk about on Relationship Renegades that people are in your life either for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And so it's okay when things like this happen, right? Just ask yourself, what are the lessons? Because if you don't ask yourself internally, what am I supposed to learn right now?
Yeah.
If you don't ask, if you don't meditate on that, if you don't write those things down and really contemplate and reflect, if you just start doing again and go to the next thing, and instead of dating yourself, like Rachel said, you just go to the next. Life gives you exams.
Yes.
And if you are not asking that and
Learning
finding out
lessons.
what is the exact lesson that I'm supposed to learn, then it will 100%, without a doubt, repeat over and over and over again, and it will cause you more and more and more and more pain.
Yeah.
And more pain until you finally break. Yes. And you break down and you say, I can't do this anymore. I need help. And then you learn the lesson. And the last thing I'll say before you wrap this one up, love, is when I say, I can't do this anymore, what a beautiful place to be. Because a lot of us don't ask for help. And so in wrapping up the preparation, the 5 Ps here, ask for help. People want to help you.
They do.
We want to help you. Come to our tribe and ask for help. But also, friends, family, strangers, ask. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think in that is so important. Like, that's why I believe in coaching so much. That's why we coach people. That's why we have this free tribe, and why we want to put on, this free 3-day live coaching experience and do group coaching, because it is the thing. Like, if it wasn't for coaches and mentors and programs I went through and books that I read, like, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in this relationship. I wouldn't have learned the lessons. And so it is in the asking for help. It is in the being vulnerable that we are able to heal, and that we're able to connect with others. Because when you start to ask for help, when you start to be vulnerable, when you start to share your true authentic self of the raw and real
beauty and
like,
abundance,
connection
and
happens.
Life happens.
Because it's when we throw up the facades and all the stuff, that's the disconnection. Because it's
enough of that.
And it's so interesting. Actually, this is a really cool thing I just want to tap into real quick. So our kind of tagline is, kill your Superman to find your Wonder Woman. And it's so interesting that actually I was having a really awesome conversation with some of my girlfriends recently, and she was really into superheroes, and she's like, what's so interesting about that is that she's like, I get your guys' whole concept about this, like, the killing of the facade, the illusion of Superman, and all the super, like super things that we try to do as people, like be perfect all the time and impress everybody and fix people and change people. When that completely disconnects us. And what's crazy is that they did a study, and they found that, like, Batman versus Superman, Batman was like astronomically more popular than Superman because Batman was human. Like, we get to watch Batman, this person that, like, falls down and has to get back up again, and falls down and has to get back up again. Like, he doesn't have necessarily these, like, crazy superpowers. He has to use his, like, creative power, which is more of, like, a human thing. And it makes sense why he's more popular, because we can relate more to him. And so again,
Batman, if you're out there, we love you. And
thanks for sharing your challenges.
Thanks for showing up, Batman.
So those are some really hopefully helpful answers to that question of, ways to heal from heartbreak.
And how to move on faster.
And again, we do private coaching with people. So if you are interested in diving deep with us and working one-on-one with us, just let us know. DM us or message us on any of our social media, and we will send you an application to apply for coaching. Because, we do put a lot of time, energy, effort into one-on-one clients, and it is it
is our life's
really
work.
Is. We really want to help.
This is why this is our purpose and vocation. And these are all the values that we want to instill in the world.
Because we've been through it. Because we have that pain to purpose story. People see our relationship, and I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody that sent us so much love and support and congrats on our recent engagement.
That is right.
This beautiful human right here made that.
Engaged.
If you haven't seen the video on our social media, you have to go check it out. I can't believe, every day I say, baby, I can't believe how surprised I was.
I was so surprised.
So surprised, so in shock. And it was just such a beautiful, magical moment. Again,
it's been going viral right now.
Yeah, it really is pretty viral, and it's really exciting. And my hope is that video inspires more love.
Yeah.
And I just want to say a quick thing. I used to see videos of, all these beautiful couples or awesome couples. And there was this part of me that it was inspiring, but it also just made me feel sad because I was like, man, I want that so bad. When is it going to be my turn?
Yeah.
And so, with all the content we put out, I think that's why we try to be so raw and real about, yes, we do have an awesome relationship, but we've worked so hard for it, and we continue to work on it every day. And so, if you ever see videos of, couples and you're like, man, I want that so bad. When is it my time? Your time is coming, but it's up to you to put in the work, and
if you really want it.
Yeah,
I literally
really want it.
I was answering some questions on the engagement video literally today, babe. I haven't told you this yet, but one person was like, well, this is so beautiful. Congratulations. But it's unfortunate or it's sad or something that everyone won't find something like this. And I was like, hey, look, with all the love and respect in the world, I completely disagree. And it goes against everything that Relationship Renegades, our company, stands for. Yeah. Because if you do believe that, then you won't find anybody.
Yeah, you won't experience
if those are your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, then like Rachel said earlier, then that's exactly what you're going to be getting back.
Yeah, it's what you attract.
It's what I forget who said this, but a lot of time people think believing is seeing. You've probably heard believing is seeing, or maybe you think I'm sorry.
I have to see
I
it.
always say,
let
me scratch that. People normally think seeing is believing.
Yes.
And they're like, I got to see it to believe it.
Yep.
But to us, that's a bunch of baloney, babe.
No,
right?
It really is. That's why I'm such a huge advocate of practicing future gratitude, and why I want to put out several on our YouTube channels, because it is the thing I did to remind myself of okay, again, we're human. We're going to have stories come up. We're going to have things come up that it's like, man, maybe I'm not the lucky. These are literally real things that I went through. Maybe I'm not one of the lucky ones. Maybe I'm just not going to find my person. Maybe I'm going to have success in my career, but not in my relationships. And that was a bunch of BS. But the thing is, if I would have believed it, that's exactly what I would have experienced it. It's okay to have that stuff come up sometimes, but it's all about what you do when that happens. When I would start to think that, then I would use all my tools. I would journal out, I would do meditation, I would do breath work, I would go to yoga, and all of a sudden I'd be like, wait,
those are a bunch of lies.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Bunch of baloney, babe.
But yeah, it is a bunch of baloney. And so, again, we don't attract what we think about, we attract who we are. And if you are being a person who just believes in that and just knows that, I think so much of this we're talking about is identity as well. Identity is huge, right? If I have the identity that I'm just not a person who will be in a healthy relationship, then that's my identity, and that's powerful. And it takes a good amount of work to really shift that identity. Same thing, I'll make it real. For people who are like, how do you not eat bread? I love bread. How do you not eat bread? I'm so tempted by it, and I can't seem to get myself to not eat bread anymore, even though I'm sensitive to gluten. And I just, or stop smoking, or whatever it is the thing. There's a huge difference between someone who is trying to quit smoking or trying to stop eating gluten than a person who just is a person who doesn't do that, right? Like I've just shifted my identity where like, I'm just not a person who eats bread. And so anytime I see it, I'm like, oh, that's just not who I am. And that is powerful, you know? So having the identity of I am a person who is attracting and deserving of awesome relationships. The more I wire that in, the more that I program myself, the more that hope turns into faith, turns into belief, turns into knowing. And then I live from that space of like just knowing that's who I am. I promise you when you get to that space, it will come into your life probably faster than you could imagine.
And guys, we have a beautiful practice on how to have that identity change, that identity formation. So if you're really interested, join our mastermind, join our 3-day free live relationship coaching experience.
Yes.
Or if you're wanting some private coaching, check us out. But, you know, to summarize that too with this, it's not believing it's not seeing is believing. It truly is believing is seeing. And as Dr. Joe Dispenza would say, when you believe that, right, when you have, like Rachel was talking about, but slightly expanding it a little bit more, it's not only, and for those of you that are familiar with Joe Dispenza's work, he talks a lot about, you know, the unified field, the space the invisible, right? And then the visible, what we can see. This is Newtonian physics versus quantum physics. So the Newtonian physics,
deep, guys.
You know, is the stuff that we can see, right? You can see this microphone here, right?
Yeah.
But there's certain things that come from nothing into something, right? Yeah. This manifestation, how we created each other, how I created Rachel to come into my life, and how she created me to come into her life.
Yep.
It's really having a felt experience, the feeling plus an intention. Dr. Joe Dispenza is saying those two are key to creating matter.
Yes.
Those two things, an intention and an elevated emotion, is what creates matter. So when you're thinking about the future, that future gratitude that you were talking about, right? It's having an elevated emotion like gratitude, like love, like compassion, like empathy, like understanding, these higher vibrations and frequencies. When you have that elevated emotion and you set an intention of what you want, that then that slowly starts manifesting into matter, into creation. You are creating in that fashion. And it's so big. And I'll end with this. I forget who says this. It might be Lao Tzu from the Tao Te Ching. But when we're talking about thoughts, feelings, emotions, it's, you know, be careful what you think, or watch what you think. It'll become, or watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they'll become your habits. Watch your habits, they'll become your character. Watch your character, they'll become your destiny.
Yes, I love that.
And so where does it start? Starts in the thoughts. If your thought is, well, unfortunately, not everyone can find that. That's a bunch of baloney.
It's a bunch of baloney, everybody.
That's how we wrap it up, with a baloney wrap. And then we throw it up in the air.
Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio.
I'll eat that.
But it's so true. When he was talking about elevated emotions really quick, I just want to tap into, again, that's why I think, you know, a lot of people have been like, how have you, like, you're some like super manifestor, you know, that you manifested like the movies that you've been in and this dream relationship that you had. And I can't stress enough, I really feel like there's magic that happens when we do tap into these heightened emotions mixed with intention and visualization. So my habit that I started creating from a young age was, whenever I felt discouraged, I would put on empowering music. I'd have like a power playlist, put on empowering music, and then I would just go in some like room by myself or on the beach or at a park or something, and I would just dance my face off. Or I would go to a boxing class and I would just like punch a bag like crazy, or some sort of physical activity, or I would run. And I think we're so much more than, we're not human thinkings, we're human beings. And I think we need to be in this state of emotion, this heightened state of emotion, mixed with really powerful, like very like just powerful intention, powerful like creation. And that's why I talk about like imagine and visualization. Like visualization is used in like all Olympic athletes and high level sports and very like high performing people because it works. And I think it works so much more than just in creating wealth or creating job opportunities. It works in creating relationships as well. And so, but I think a lot of times people think of visualization as just sitting there. And yes, that can work, but I think it is 10x'd when we get ourselves in these heightened states. And I've found that through dance and through movement. And through music, like linking it all together can be so powerful.
Yes. Well said, babe.
So,
and, I want to say this last thing to expand on what you're saying. I'm totally kidding. It looks like we went back and forth about expanding a little bit here and there. Because we want to say so much, right?
Let me expand. Yeah. Let's get to the next question. Next question.
You know what's so funny? We haven't even finished this first question.
We go deep, guys. We go deep.
The question was a 3-part question.
Yeah, it really
we answered how to heal from a recent breakup. If you're just tuning in on Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio.
Ways.
We talked about how to move on faster.
Yes.
And so we finished 2 of the 3-part question here, guys, as we wrap up this 2-hour question. No, but the third one, really, babe, that I'm gonna kind of go into this other one for people listening.
Yes.
I'm gonna say that the third part of that first question is how to find a high value man.
Yes, I love that.
But then I'm gonna also bring in these other questions from this other one so that people know what's to come.
Yes.
So how to bring in a high-value man. Also...
Or a woman, if you're looking for
or a woman. How to be more sure of what I'm seeking in a husband. And how to know when it's right or keep looking.
Ooh.
And so... And I can bring them up again for you, love, or for anybody listening. Yes. How to find a high-value husband. Or, I'm sorry, high-value man. Or a high-value woman.
Yes, either one.
And then how to be more sure of what I'm seeking in a husband or wife.
Yes.
And then how to know when it's right or keep looking. What's coming up for you, love?
So I love this question. Thank you so much for asking. Again, all these questions are from our free group that we have in Facebook, Relationship Renegades Tribe. Please come join us there. It's an awesome place to hang out.
Thanks for playing Full Out.
Yes, great people. Great way to meet maybe future partners. I'm really excited about the people that might start their own relationships just from being in our tribe. Very exciting.
Ooh, I like that.
We're going to turn into matchmakers now.
Yeah. Matchmaker, make me
a match. All right, and speed. Here we go. Moving on.
All right, go ahead.
So what's coming up for me is, so again, going back to when I was going through a breakup or a heart expansion experience, I remember this experience where I was on a drive. I was just driving from work, and I was just crying, couldn't stop crying. And I was so frustrated because I felt like in this past relationship, I was like, oh, gosh, I felt like I did it better this time. Like I stopped doing old patterns and I really gave it my all. And then it didn't work out. And I was just blaming myself and judging myself and critiquing myself. And I was like, why do I keep attracting these guys that felt like, for lack of better terms, like just not the kind of caliber I really deep down wanted. Or didn't align in the highest way, right? And so a mentor of mine who I love so much, his name, I'm just going to give him a quick shout out, Daniel Schmottenberger, one of the most amazing
love you, Daniel.
Men. I'm so grateful for him. He gave me some really profound advice, and he was like, Rach, you really need to learn how to ask better questions at the beginning. And I thought this was really profound. Now, this advice is for people who are looking for their person, right? This is not advice for people who just want to have fun dating, which I think is an important chapter of life. But if you are a person who is like, I just like this question, how do I find a more high value woman or man, or a person that's more aligned with me, a better alignment in a husband or a wife? I think it's really learning how to ask powerful questions and ask them fast so that you get answers, and then be open to listening to what the answers actually are. Because, first and foremost, a great question to ask on a very, very soon into the relationship is, hey, do you want kids or not? And making sure that you're both aligned with whatever that answer is. Because, otherwise you're going to be in this relationship, you might both fall in love, and then, years into the relationship realize that one person wants kids and one person doesn't, and then it's way harder to break up at that point. And so a question like that, a question that he also said is, and this was really profound. I really hope that women and men really listen up to this, because this is something that I just never understood before. And he basically said, make sure that the man that you're dating, especially if you are looking to find your person and, find your husband or your nice, partner. I know, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
is to say, are you being the person that you want to be in the world? Are you at that chapter in your life where you're able to be that person that you really want to be in the world? And what I mean by that is, and what he taught me was that, Rach, you keep trying to date these guys who don't know who they really are, or they're not being who they want to be in the world yet. And neither really was I. I was still really trying to find myself, and I was still really trying to find more financial stability, and I was still trying to find all these things. And especially for men, because men, and you can speak from a male perspective, babe, but there is something to when a guy feels more financially secure, that they're more able to provide. And, I kept finding that I was in these relationships where I felt like I was the person that was always motivating somebody. And I was always like, come on, let's read this book together. Come on, let's go do this thing together. And I always felt like I was dragging us both up the mountain. And it completely polarized the attraction, because I was more in my masculine and put them more in their feminine. And really it was hard for the guys to be fully who they were because in the relationship, because they didn't know it yet. And I didn't know who I was yet either. And so I think it's really important to figure out the questions that you really want to know about somebody before you get too far into the relationship. And if they don't align, then have the courage to say, hey, I've loved spending time with you and getting to know you better, but this is what I'm looking for in a guy, in a life partner. And it doesn't seem that matches up with who you want to be. And so with love, let's part ways, and move on, because otherwise you're going to find yourself and that's hard to do. I mean, that was so hard for me to do, to be so upfront, so authentic, so honest, but you will thank yourself every day.
You're helping you and that other person.
Because if you,
not wasting time.
Yeah. I held on to relationships way too long. Yeah. And I made us both suffer. I was thinking that I was doing the right thing because I didn't want to hurt them. I didn't want to break up with them, or I didn't want to tell them what I was really feeling. And in reality, I made it worse. It's way better to be just honest about how you're really feeling.
One of the things I also want to just mention, since we're talking about Daniel Schmattenberger, awesome. Yes. If you're listening to this, Daniel, love you, brother. Thank you so much for being an awesome mentor and friend to Rachel. One of the things that's coming up for me too, that he used to tell you, oh no, this is not Daniel. Daniel said some incredible things. But since we talked about Daniel, one of the things that I wanted to say was actually from another one of your mentors.
I'm going to guess Jeff Hoffman.
Jeff Hoffman. The Jeff Hoffman. If you're listening to this, brother, one thing that I love that he told you, babe, was if it looks, sounds, and walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Yes. Let that soak in for a second. Let's pause for a moment. I'm going to say it again.
Yes.
If it looks like, talks like, and or walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Yes. And so what does that mean? Well, I'll start speaking a little bit about my past toxic relationships. And I say toxic, by the way, guys, because we both weren't showing up in a healthy, connected, fully live relationship. We both had a lot of traumas to sort through. We both didn't really look the man in mirror and the woman completely. And so because we didn't address our childhood traumas, they showed up in their relationships. And this will happen, guaranteed, every single time.
Every single time.
If you don't deal with them, they'll show up. Your relationships will deal with them.
Yes.
And so,
so heal your childhood stuff.
Yeah. And so, if you're in a relationship like this was years ago with this particular woman, it sounded like a duck and it quacked like a duck, in terms of this duck being someone that I know was someone that I did not want to be with or surround myself with.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't love myself. I was seeking attention from women. And so when I had the nice car, when I had the house, when I had the job and this reputation or whatever, which is all dumb and bull, she was like, oh my God, and there's this beautiful woman who showed up, and, hot, sexy woman that come up. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is me. And try to create this Superman, this avatar of what I think these women, whoever was going to bite at it, would come, and that's what it was. And she fell in love with that avatar, and when I started to show who I really was, it got really toxic. It got, we fought all the time, and she was this duck, as we were talking about earlier, about someone that I just knew was not for me. And it walked the way that I didn't want it to walk. It talked the way that I didn't, right? There's all these different attributes, all these values that were not my values.
Yes.
And I think that's important when we talk about, well, what do you want? Because it's also like, how do you find a high value woman or man? And it's like, well, a lot of people, babe, right? We talk about this. Don't know what's important to them. Which is your values.
Yes.
People don't know what their vocation is, which is what life is asking of you, which is huge. Life is giving you hints along the way, and if we're not paying attention, if we're just going through the motions and just doing and listening to what our parents want us to do or what society wants us to do, and we're just going through the motions, especially now in COVID when we're like just Netflix and chilling and eating and drinking and just jumping on meeting after meeting or whatever. It's like, when do you have time to build your internal world and ask yourself, what's important to me, right?
What do I really want?
Because let's face it, we talk about this all the time, right, babe? When you're wanting to attract, you said it in the beginning of this. I basically found myself, right? I'm looking at a mirror right now, and you're looking at a mirror, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, my values are spirituality, health, wellness, family, friendship, honesty, spontaneity, adventure, right? All these top values, and I can rank them in order, etc. When I started to finally write those down, and there's different practices, we go through some of these exercises and more. And if you're just tuning in to Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio, we have a 3-day live coaching relationship experience coming up, or with Coaching with Us, where you do find your values. Because then when you embody those values, when you practice those values, when you start to live by those values, then you will start to find who you are. You will start to,
and that literally is saying you don't attract what you think about. You attract who you are. And
so date yourself.
Yes, date yourself to find out who you really are. And here's the thing, right? Is it's the person to be really honest with, first and foremost, is yourself, right? So I found myself in these unhealthy relationships, and I wanted to blame it all on the other person. I'm like, it's his fault. He has anger issues. He has la. But when I really went and did the work, a great book, by the way, that I'm going to recommend right now is Loving What Is by Byron Katie. Another one that just...
Gold nugget there.
Please. Like, I recommend this book to everybody. It is... And not just read the book, but do the exercises she gives you. Like, she gives you 4 powerful questions to ask through every experience that you go through. And if you actually write it out, if you actually do it, I swear it will change your whole life. And your future self will thank you every day that you did. I know I do. Byron Katie, I love you. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
We love you, Byron Katie.
She's the author of that book.
Oh, can I recommend a book regarding all this stuff too?
Yes.
I'm going to recommend a book.
Okay, we're waiting. Suspense is killing us all.
Here we go, guys. Trying to pick right now.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding. It's Alison Armstrong's Understanding Women.
Unlocking the Mystery
Within.
No, that's actually the title of the book. Understanding Women, Unlocking the Mystery. Another one is...
Well, she also has the male version,
yes,
Understanding Male. And it's really great for both sexes to reach each of them.
Yes.
But when you really understand, then you're a lot more empathetic, compassionate, and understanding of the way that men think and the way that women think, because it's completely different.
It's completely different.
Completely different. And we won't go there. We can go deep on all these things, but let's continue with these questions, love.
Yes, wait, hold on. Well, I had a thought that I was completing on, but it's okay. We're meant to move on. Okay, but just get those 2 books, because they will do more than, they again, probably 2 of the biggest books reasons why we're here right now. Honestly.
Yeah. So, if you guys are just tuning in to Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio, we are broadcasting live also from our Facebook Relationship Tribe. Thank you guys for joining, for commenting, for being here, for playing full out. Thank you for writing these questions that we're answering live here for our tribe and for everyone listening on the radio. Here we go.
Let's get to this question. I think I know which one this is, and I'm excited about it.
Well, so
let's get to the dating one, because I think a lot of people right now or we're in a
You want to do dating, babe, or do you want to do this one?
Dating.
Check this one. This one's pretty good too, though. This one is, you tell me which one. Am I overthinking my relationship, or is it my gut trying to tell me the truth?
Oh, that's a good one.
Working on believing each other to find peace in the hard times. But I just thought about, am I overthinking my relationship, or is it my gut that's telling me the truth? I think you kind of said it with my gut telling me the truth, but I think it goes hand in hand with the previous questions of like, how to be more sure of what I'm seeking in a husband, or how to know when it's right or keep looking, right? How do I know when it's right or keep looking, or how do I know whether to stay or not?
Yes.
If it's in my gut. I think we kind of talked a little bit about this. I don't know if we want to elaborate more, or do we want to pick something else? What are your thoughts,
I mean,
love?
I think it's so important. It's so important, one, not to make rash decisions, right? Like,
So we do want to talk about this a little bit?
let's dive into it a little bit, and then let's get into the dating, because I think people really are struggling with that, and I want to give some helpful insights if we can.
I think we can.
I think we might be able to.
I think we can.
I think we can. Especially if you're in a place, again, I remember this multiple times. I had a pattern in relationships. I would stay in them way too long when like a deep part of me knew that it wasn't right, but I was justifying all the reasons why I should stay. Because we
hear this all the time. I did it, and we hear it all the time.
It's a very common theme because
Common theme.
it's very difficult, because I think sometimes we're staying in the relationships for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
If you're staying in a relationship because you're scared to be alone, if you're staying in a relationship because
you don't want to hurt the other person.
You didn't want to hurt the other person, just those two reasons alone, I think, are the main two reasons why we stay. And or just because you don't want to go through the heartbreak, the heart expansion of everything that entails of a breakup.
Yeah.
And, I would really recommend too, just because I've heard from other relationship experts and some of my dear friends, Conscious Uncoupling is a really great book to check out that might give you some guidance on that as well.
We're just giving you some gold nugget books right here. Make it rain.
But one, like, listen to your gut. Like, if it's a thing that keeps coming up over and over and over and over, there is a reason. Like, there is a reason, there is a reason, there is a reason.
You know it deep down inside.
And more importantly, I really think, again, if you can't, one of our core themes on the show and in our brand is learning how to create a safe space for, like, radical, sometimes honesty. Like, it's so important to feel safe to be honest. And if you don't feel safe to be honest, then that's a red flag right there. But that's a two-way street, right? Because creating a safe space to be honest with each other, like, I can't just blame it on the other person. It has to be both people. And I really would recommend checking in with your partner. If you're going through this right now, like, and checking in and being like, hey, just really want to feel safer being honest with you, but I don't feel safe right now. Like, having those vulnerable conversations is so important, and letting them know where you're at, and saying, hey, maybe you do. Maybe it's like, I really do love you. Or maybe I do really love this person and I love spending time with you, but I feel like there's some real issues that on a regular basis, I have some gut reactions that don't feel right. And like, I'm wanting to know if you want to work on this with me, or if you feel the same way, checking in with where you're at.
Yeah.
These conversations can feel very scary, especially if you don't feel like you have a safe space. And so bringing up, like, letting them know that you don't feel safe to be honest.
And even before we go there, keep that thought,
yes.
Lovey. I just wanted to say too, what we've heard a lot too from relationships coming to us is, well, how come he should bring it up first? Or she should bring it up first? Like, this ego, we just need to be the bigger man or the bigger woman in this, and just like, look, if we want change, we need to make choices.
Be the change you want to see.
Do the brave thing.
Yes.
Be courageous. You may be afraid, but you do it anyway. And it's okay. It's always beauty at the end of the tunnel. And we create these stories as to what it's going to do, or what that person's going to say, or what's going to happen. And it's never as bad as it actually is. It's always happening for you. Yes. And so go ahead and continue, love. I just wanted to say that. Like, just do the brave thing. Have the conversation. And when you go, I want to be able to talk also about how we talk in terms of, like, my ego self is thinking this, or the story I'm creating in my head is this. It may or may not be true, but
there's so many really helpful communication tools that we actually do, like real breakdowns on our YouTube. We have episodes where we showed, like, the conscious version of communicating versus the unconscious way of communicating. And so first and foremost, really taking it upon ourselves to learn how to communicate more consciously and from a place of love and compassion, because we can only heal from love. If I'm trying to have a conversation with somebody that's a brave, courageous conversation of something that's really weighing on me, if I come at them from a place of like blaming or this is your fault, then like it's your stuff. You know what I mean? Like you don't expect to go into any like courageous conversation talking about something that's really like vulnerable and hard with any sort of blame. It has to come from a place of just surrender and love. And a technique that is so powerful that we use is saying, okay, the story I'm creating in my head is this. I don't know if it's true or not, but I just want to check in with you, right? So if I'm like worried that somebody's not being honest with me, or if I'm worried that somebody's hiding something, I can be like, hey, I'm creating all these stories in my head that this is happening. Yeah. Like, and I just want to check in with you because I could be completely wrong, but I just like, I love you so much and I love myself enough to ask you honestly, and I think that's a really powerful tool, as well as,
but that's an important not only tool but like really theme, because if you don't already know, or maybe you do but it needs to be reconfirmed, we have these realities versus actualities. Yeah. And so we think that the way we see the world, the way I see the world, is the way you see the world, love.
Nope.
Not true. The way I see the world is the way you see the world, or you see the world. And it's not true. We all have different experiences. We all have different frames of reference that basically show us and program us to see the world a certain way. Yeah. And so if I had, well, I'm not going to say if, it did. So let's be real here, right? Yes. I had a relationship where she used to drink a lot. And she would like to go to the bars by herself when I didn't know it, and come back super late when I was working at like 2 a.m. Smelled so bad of alcohol. And she'd been flirting with guys all night long. And, when I'd go to sleep, she'd come and sneak in and want to be intimate. But, I just always had this gut feeling like something was wrong. And of course, later on, I figured out that she had been cheating on me various times, et cetera, et cetera. But I had been cheating on multiple times, not just in that relationship. And so you better believe, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, that I built a situation of like, when women come home at 2 a.m, or that women are always going to cheat on me, or that women are a certain way, or whatever it may be, I can take that into the other relationship and say, this is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm looking at a bike over here in this studio here, and it's like, if I was growing up and every time I rode my bike at night, I fell every single time, and then I could easily have a story in my head that like, oh no, you can't. You guys are gonna go riding in bike? Like, are you kidding me? You guys are gonna fall. Like your mom,
That's called reality versus actuality.
Yeah.
So we all have these realities that we create within our heads, our stories based on past programmings, but it's not the actuality. It may not
be the actuality, and it's and you. There's only one way of finding out. Ask it.
Ask the question. The other really helpful communication tool is saying, especially if an argument is coming up, something that is very helpful is to kind of just take a deep breath. Breathing, just in general, is huge. Breathing and sleeping, actually, 2 really big things that can help really impact relationships in a helpful way. But if an argument is going on, taking some deep breaths, reconnecting to your breath, reminding yourself that you love the person that you're arguing with, and saying, hey, let's just, like, emotions are rising, like our egos are in the way right now. What's the desired outcome of this conversation? Mm-hmm. And that one tool can like bypass a bunch of bullshit and saying things that you don't mean and getting heated in emotions. And so just taking some deep breaths, regulating, connecting back to our, maybe higher self, and then just saying, look, I hate that we're arguing right now. I don't want to fight with you. I love you. What is what is your desired outcome of this conversation? Yeah. And then you guys can both express because most of the time we just want to feel loved. We just want to feel safe, seen, heard, and loved. That's it. And so if we can bypass all the bullshit and just get to that of like, because in reality we could have this argument, but it was probably actually because I didn't feel heard, or I didn't feel seen, or I didn't feel loved, or I didn't feel safe in some way. Right. So if you could just get to that outcome, right, with that question, you can save yourself a lot of unnecessary arguments. And
also, when one or the other starts to share, however you want to put it in your own language, But for us, we say like, thank you for sharing. And it's
Yes.
not just like a tool to use. It's like, be genuine with it. Like,
Yeah.
love, that must have been hard for you to say.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. Because if they didn't share that, they would have held it under the rug. They would have denied, suppressed it, distracted. And it would have built until it blew up
Yes.
in your face, in your relationship, whether it's private or public.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yes.
It's like, thank them for sharing. Thank them for
Yes.
being honest. Thank them for being open. Even if it was hard to say and it hurt, but they told you, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I love that one so much.
And then like you said, babe, that was beautiful. Like, breathe. We often hold our breaths throughout the day, especially during hard conversations. Know that it's going to be okay. And always, always, always come from a state of love.
Yes.
The same Albert Einstein had this quote. I always butcher it, babe. You may be better about this quote. But the solution to a problem cannot be created with the same level of consciousness that it was created in.
Yes.
And I think there might be a better way of saying that. But it's like, hey, if the problem was in a state of, let's just say, we're talking emotions here.
Yeah,
So like
frustration.
in frustration or fear or guilt or shame, you can't be in that state to try to resolve it. Like, you have to come from a clean slate. Like,
Yes.
tap into a state of love. How do you tap into that? Hold your heart. Breathe slowly and deeply. Don't think about anything else but your heartbeat. Breathe slowly and deeply. You'll literally start to tap into your heart brain we were talking about earlier, which
Yes.
literally thinks, feels, and remembers independently of the head brain.
Yep.
When you start to go there, you have a different state of consciousness.
You do.
And before you start to talk, before either of you guys start to talk, think about a renewing emotion like love or compassion or gratefulness.
Yes.
Something like, think about a baby, your nephew, your own son or daughter, or when you got
pet.
married, or a dog,
Yeah.
right, or a cat. And then when you feel that emotion, let it consume you. And then in that state, look at the love of your life, or look at your relationship and say,
Yes.
babe, I'm scared right now.
Yes.
I don't know how to do this. This is my first time. You may be shaking, whatever. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, be raw and real, because when you do that, that other relationship will see who you really are, connect more, and then you start to connect more, really.
Yeah.
And I will say
it's
this.
huge. I just want to point out that even when he said that to me right now, like, I'm looking at him, if you're listening, and I was automatically like, oh, I just love him. Like, especially when men are vulnerable, to me, it is so sexy. Like, it is so sexy, and it automatically, like, if he came to me and he was like, love, I'm scared right now. I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh, I can do this,
I can fix this man. No, I'm just kidding.
I like that, but I also want to make it a point. We are talking about when you want to find your person, right? Because we've had some comments and questions saying, okay, but if I'm vulnerable, then women just like make fun of me, or they push me aside.
So can I say that? So in my past relationship we're talking about, I did that very thing that we're talking about now.
Yes.
And my girlfriend at the time of close to 3 years, well, it was probably at the 1 year mark, 2 year mark, and 3 year mark, every single time thought I was a fool, an idiot. She thought I was weak. Let me say, a fool, an idiot, thought I was weak, looked at me like I was ridiculous, and made me feel small and stupid. We've gotten comments from men that they've had that same experience. You know what, guys? What a great gift.
Yeah.
Do I want a person like that? No.
Hell no.
And here's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Guess what? I didn't love myself. And if somebody asked me, if you're thinking about this, like if I ask you right now, do you love yourself? You may say, what are you talking about? Of course I love myself. But here's the thing. If you're in a relationship with abuse, or maybe in this situation where like you've been vulnerable and you didn't get the same response, and you're still in the relationship, and that's one of your biggest values, then 10 times out of 10, you probably don't love yourself. Because if you did,
or love yourself enough to do something about it.
Yeah, because if you loved yourself enough, you would do something, because this is your life. This is your day, your moment. And it is not worth feeling these things. Like, there are people that want to love you and celebrate you and support you all day long.
Yes.
And so what a gift if you showed up vulnerably and you got slapped in the face physically, mentally, or emotionally, or spiritually, because it is called a filtration system.
Yes.
What a great filter in a relationship or in dating the world to say, wow, great. I didn't have to spend a lot of time here. Like, I already figured out that this is not one that I want to be with.
Thank you. Next.
Because, my gosh, does Rachel support, love, and respect me like exponentially.
Yes, when he's vulnerable. So
there's men and women like that.
Basically, it's the right person will value your vulnerability, right? Not all people might not value vulnerability.
Or the way you share, the way you speak, or the way you do anything.
Anything. So perfect example. Like Emilio would do things in our relationship like be vulnerable or like be ridiculous. And I would be like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. And then he would share with me how in his past relationships, those were the exact things that he got like put down for. And so again, if he would have tolerated that, one of my favorite
or
quotes
changed myself so that
to
she
try
would
and
like
fix
it.
That. One of my
Never being
favorite
myself.
quotes that we say a lot is that you get what you tolerate, right? So like whatever you're tolerating, whatever you're making okay, you'll continue to get more of that. And it's not until we get really brave, really courageous, where we build up enough self-love to say, I will not tolerate being talked to like that. I will not tolerate having a partner that doesn't see or value me, you know, like, and so I think that might take some work, that might take some time to build up that self-love and that value, but that work is so worth it. Because again, both of us experienced having past partners that we tried so hard to make it work and like went through all the hardships and wondered if we would do the right thing and had a hard time breaking up. But if we were to stay, it's like literally we were staying in a prison when on the other side of that prison was like the most beautiful beach ever, you know, that you could just like feel so loved and supported. And so I think it's so important to like, sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, but like realize that, you know, we get what we tolerate. And that one of the greatest gifts that we have as humans is the power of choice. Like the choice, the ability to choose different, right? This is relationship renegades. It's all about being a renegade, choosing different,
going
choosing
against the grain,
a higher path for yourself and for others. And just remember that if you're having a hard time because you don't want to hurt somebody else, know that if you're staying in the relationship longer, if you're holding on to that because you don't want to hurt somebody, you are making it worse for both of you.
Big time.
And if you can just get the courage to just rip off the Band-Aid, it's so hard, but it's so worth it. Like, it's so hard, but it's so worth it. Just rip off the Band-Aid, do the work, heal, explore, adventure, journal, meditate, breathe, go to yoga classes, like do whatever you have to do, travel, get out of your comfort zone, work with a therapist, a coach, like do whatever you have to do. And then I promise you, you will find yourself looking at your dream partner, being so grateful every day that you didn't settle, that you stopped tolerating anything that you shouldn't be tolerating anymore, you know? And again, guys, this is deep stuff. It doesn't happen overnight. It is, and along the whole journey, I just want to stress this. We cannot heal with judgment. We cannot heal with criticism. We cannot heal with hate. We can only heal with love. Trust me, I've tried. I tried so hard to beat myself up to heal, to criticize myself to heal, to, you know, hate myself to heal. And it didn't work. The only thing that really works is when I finally was like, had forgiveness for myself. I had compassion for myself. I had that love for myself. And so one of my favorite words is to choose courageous compassion, you know, to choose that kind of courageous compassion that it takes sometimes to heal from heart expansion, you know, the growing pains that come from having your heart expand.
Yeah. And you know what else is coming from me during all these conversations is and I can only speak for men regarding this, and maybe it's the same for women, you can let me know, but a lot of men sometimes, I feel like humanity, well, let's just say humans.
Those humans out there.
Oh, you humans. We, you know, from when we were kids to the present day, things happen to us. And, you know, if we deal with a really hard situation, we then will subconsciously create a character to then cope with that situation and then be better for the next situation. Like, I'm going to be a peacemaker. I'm going to be stronger next time. I'm not going to get hurt next time. And there's all these different personalities and characters that we built over time, whether we know it or not. And those characters, those personalities, you can replace. It's very synonymous with walls. So we have all these walls. So when you think about really wanting to feel and have an intention to create something into matter, like we were talking about Joe Dispenza's work earlier, to really create the love and lifestyle you've always wanted. Sometimes guys, from what I know, it's very hard to like feel something and to experience it fully and to make a change or to really break down. Like if we're trying to heal childhood traumas, because it always sources and stems from there. Because if you don't face them there, you'll face them in the relationship. So it's time to get rid of them. But sometimes guys don't know where to start, right, guys? Like, where the F do I start? What do I do? I don't even know. We weren't taught this. None of us were. Here's the thing. Sometimes, unfortunately, for guys, and there's lots of different ways, and we talk about it in our coaching and our masterminds and our experience coming up. So come join us.
Yes.
But here's the thing. Oftentimes, it comes with getting uncomfortable, really putting ourselves in a situation that breaks us. Think about us as it's almost like an egg. I mean, an egg is fragile, but it's almost got to like crack before it finally all cracks open. I used to do a lot of men's work. Well, I still do some men's work and shadow work. But we used to do these like intensives, 48-hour intensive all day for 2 days, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. We were challenged. And it really kind of was slowly cracking the egg until the very last day where like every single man from all walks of life all around the world broke down. And we need to break down to be able to be vulnerable, to release everything that's been inside us. The body keeps a score and we need to release that energy. Yeah. And so, if there's a men's group, you can Google men's work, men's group, shadow work. Some of these things will help facilitate this. But even if it's something like when you think about extremes, right? Extreme cold, right? Jumping into a cold tub, that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When you're in the cold, you're like you're shaking, you're like uncomfortable, like you feel like you want to scream or cry or break down because you're like
you're feeling so
like when
much.
like when you're sick and your whole body's breaking down, you have different states of consciousness, different thoughts, different like you're almost like wanting to cry but you don't, but like it's like this feeling. Yeah. When you're in extreme temperatures like a sauna, when you're doing breath work, they call it breath work. Yeah. For a reason. It's work. It's uncomfortable, hardcore yoga stuff or whatever it is. Think about something that you can do, a long hike that may take something out of you to where you going to break, because in that breaking point is the beauty. There's beauty in the breakdown because that's where you open yourself up to starting to love yourself more, forgiving yourself more, and becoming the man you always were or really are. And so my heart goes out to you all men out there that are having some walls and characters that you guys have been playing out, whether you know it or not. Guys, the time is now to freaking change that shit up. Join the tribe. Let us help you. Let me help you, brother. Yes. I love you. And let's fucking do this together.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And something I love talking about along that lines is that, to not give up hope, that what you're looking for is also out there looking for you. As much as on my journey, right? Like I was like crying, wishing, hoping, praying, working so hard to find my love. And I got so discouraged along the way sometimes and almost gave up hope. But at the same time, Emilio over here is out there doing the same thing, looking for me. And so if I would have given up hope, or if he would have given up hope, we would have never found each other. And so, if, when you're speaking to all the men out there, and I'm speaking to the women out there, like your partners are out there like crying, wishing, praying for you to show up in your full, authentic, mostly healed self, because I don't know that we're ever fully healed, but like mostly healed, so that you can come into a relationship, so you can find each other as whole people, not trying to fix each other or change each other, but just to love and support each other along the way. And I think that's so important. So if guys out there, they're like, oh man, I don't want to do this inner child shit, and I don't want to do this like vulnerability crap, then just know that like you'll never find that dream woman of yours, because that dream woman of yours is going to be operating at a way higher Wonder Woman type of state, and you'll never be able to really find her because you haven't elevated yourself enough to match her, and or vice versa for women finding their dream guy. You know, so we always attract at the same level that we are. So if you have a lot of inner turmoil and shit going on, you're going to attract more of that same thing. It's just the reflection. And, you know, and kind of getting into a teeny tiny bit of dating before we wrap up this issue.
I don't know if we want to go dating. I feel like we should... I feel like we should leave them hanging in a good way. Stay tuned, because I feel like we've talked about so much.
We don't want to like dive in.
And I don't want to like half-ass the dating, because dating is important. We should do a whole thing on dating.
On that. But all the things we talked about, by the way, apply to dating. It absolutely applies to dating. In the future episodes, I really do want to talk about things that people can do in the dating world now, because the dating world now is
we got
a bit
some good
different.
stuff for you.
We have some really good stuff, so stay tuned for that. But guys, I hope that this was helpful. We so love doing the show and connecting with you. Mm-hmm. And again, please join our free group that we have on Facebook, Relationship Renegades Tribe. Just request access, answer the questions so that we can get to know you better, and we'll put you in the group. And especially, we're so stoked about our free 3-day live coaching experience with us.
Yeah.
Because we're really going to get raw and real deep, answer your questions, talk to you guys live in our group. And I think there's going to be a lot of healing and breakthroughs that go down in that 3-day live experience. And then after that 3-day live experience, whoever wants to continue on with us can join our actual group coaching mastermind program that we'll do. Because again, time is now, guys. Like, time is now. Your partner is out there looking for you.
Yeah.
So show up so you can find them.
And in this New Year's, we talked about how resolutions are useless, guys and gals, but realizations are priceless. Because it's the moment you realize some of the principles and values and things that we're sharing that you're like, you know what? It's time.
Yes.
You know, enough. I'm done. It's through. Let's begin. Whatever it is, it's time to show up, because this is your life. And I think we should leave them maybe with one gold nugget, babe. Practical thing that maybe they can do. One thing that I want to say is just before we wrap this up is one, thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. And I'll say... which is, I think, the biggest thing is to love yourself. So look in the mirror right now. If you're next to a mirror, or when you get home, go find one, and just tell yourself genuinely, slowly, 3 times, I love you. And look at yourself in your eyes and say, I love you. I love you. I love you. And if something else starts to come up, say that as well. But be mindful when you're saying these things. Do you believe it? What's coming up when you say those things? And whatever does come up, journal about it. Write it down. Think about it. Meditate on it. Reflect on it. And then come tell us about it.
Yes, please do. And that work, that mirror work, is so powerful. Still, it's a daily practice that we both do every day. Every day. Along with that, I also want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for playing full out with us. Thank you for sharing this with anyone you think might need to hear it, because you really can literally change someone's whole life by just what was shared in this episode. You matter. Your life is important. You are uniquely awesome. Like, there will never be another you throughout all of space and time ever. The most important relationship that you have will be the one with yourself, because it will reflect back through all of your relationships. So focus on, again, we talked a lot about, partners and dream partners. Even if you're already in a relationship and you just want to elevate that relationship, know that that is possible. When you start showing up, when you start working on yourself, when you start elevating yourself, your current relationship will get 10x better. And especially if you guys can work together as a couple on both of yourself individually. Like, just never stop growing. I'm going to repeat the books we talked about. The Artist Way, such a good book. Morning Pages, we talked about. Writing down reasons why you love yourself and or you're proud of yourself every day. We also talked about Loving What Is by Byron Katie. Incredible life-changing book.
Alison Armstrong, understanding women.
And understanding men, right? That she
Yeah,
has
there's two of
understanding men
those.
as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. And stay tuned, guys, for our next episode that we do these weekly episodes.
Yes.
This is Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Rachele Brooke Smith.
And I am Emilio Palafox.
And
we love you.
Yes, we love you. Thank you for being part of this mission where we are co-creating a world where healthy relationships are the new norm, you guys.
And creating a space where you feel safe, seen, heard, and loved.
And with that, we love you, and we'll
love
see you
you
on the next one.
Peace out.